Howdy there, folks. My voice might be a little bit different, because I'm still fighting over a cold, but I thought I might as well show you something. To give some context, I've been animating in Gmod for about 3 to 4 years now. In this video, I'd like to go through some of the design process of what I go through in animating through Gmod, and while also video editing some videos as well. I'll go ahead and get started on loading up a map here, or what I like. Okay, so now we're here in GM Construct. This is where I'm going to animate it. Now, before I get started in animating, there are a few things they need to require. First off, the mods. Now, the mods, there are only 4 essential mods that I recommend getting. Stop motion helper, of course, stand pose, ragdoll mover, finally auto poser. Auto poser is a bit iffy, since that can technically be an essential or non-essential mods, but we'll get onto those later. Auto poser allows you to save different poses and apply them to different ragdolls. Stand pose allows you to get a certain ragdoll into the already predetermined animating position for you to grab him and pose him more easily. Ragdoll mover allows you to move ragdolls with much more ease and get more advanced poses with it, rather than just using the standard fizz gun. And lastly, stop motion helper, because duh, you need to animate. There are also some sorta non-essential mods, but are still pretty helpful to keep around in case if you want to make your animations more advanced, or just for the sake of it, whatever reason. Advanced Bone Tool, Pack 3, Bone Merge, and Submaterial. Submaterial allows you to materialize a certain part of a ragdoll without completely materializing it. Advanced Bone Tool, which allows you to inflate, deflate, rotate, you know the deal, in order to make ragdolls that are not completely compatible with Ragdoll Mover. Pack 3, which is an amazing tool, not just for ragdolls, but anything in general, to give more customization towards it. And Bone Merge, which allows you to bone merge different types of props or whatnot, so you have less to animate and it stays on the ragdoll. Now then, now that you got your mods, I'm going to clarify that I'm already guessing that you already know how to use stop motion helper. If you don't know, go to this link over here. Now then, let's get started. For today, Adrian Shepard will be helping us on Animate today. This will be his firearm. Say hi, Shepard. Now that I got him in the pose that I like him to be, and also fixed up the rifle a bit, it's time to start getting animated. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up. I always like to extend the frame count to a huge number, just in case. Animate that. Put a frame there. Always put a first frame on the first time you're animating here. Now, let's go ahead and get moving. First off, I am going to make him pull on the charging handle, aim down the sights, and only fire his weapon once. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, as we're animating here, there are a few things that it's good practice to do when or before you are animating. Reference images. Reference images. These things will become your best friend. Always use reference images. The best thing that you can do when you're doing a advanced movement or whatnot is using your own phone to record yourself. I usually like to use my phone and put it in slow motion. That way, I could get the best detail. You can also use images online. You can always find them on Google or whatnot. In fact, I think there's even an add-on on Gmod that I use called Pose Reference Pack. Some of you might ask that if I ever used SFM before, or if I even like it. To both of those questions, no. I do not like SFM at all. When I first tried using it, it was buggy for me. It kept flickering on and off, black to normal. It was slow, and it was quite advanced and very jarring for when you're first starting out. Here in Gmod, it's quite simple. You already know the controls of it, and well, it can just be just as good as any other SFM. If you want any further detail on just how hard SFM can be, go ahead and check out Lazy Purple's video. He goes in full detail on the amount of stress and work he had to put in for SFM just for it to work. Don't get me wrong, Source Filmmaker is a great tool. It's just not for me. If you want to go for it, go for it. No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get all the footage because, well, my computer space is low. I run on a crappy laptop, which restricts how much I can record or how long I can record. But this is the animation in its raw form. Nice. Now, all we need to do is smooth it out. Let's also add a turret onto this gun and make it invisible. Make sure you line it up properly so it fits into the barrel of the gun. You're also going to need to weld it as well. Once it's welded, you can finally leave it as it is. There we have it. Once the ragdoll or whatever you're animating in is finally smoothed out, and you added the turret onto the gun, let's finally test it. See what the final result is. Very nice. Now, once you got your animation clip, it's time for the nitty-gritty stuff. Editing. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of editing since it could be tedious and boring. I use Movavi Video Editor Plus. You can get it on Steam, but I'll be honest with you, this is not the best. It sometimes glitches out, and that's no good. Use whatever video editing software that suits you. Now then, once you got your clip, go ahead and put it in. All I have to do is just do a simple drag and drop. Of course, you can't have a simple animation clip with it just being, well, silent. You're going to have to add some sounds to it. Well, what's in our scene? Bruh. So, we have this guy right here. He has a lot of gear on him and some clothing as well, so we're gonna need some sounds for his clothing. And of course, we have the gun. Then, for the whole entire background, we'll go ahead and add some ambience to it. When it comes to weapon sounds, there's a simple design philosophy that I like to go by, which is how distinct is. There are three things that I go. Number one, what type of gun is it? Number two, how loud does it need to be? And number three, how distinct is it going to be? What type of gun it is? Well, that's easy. He's holding an M16. So we need a fire sound that sounds like an M16. How loud does it need to be? Well, guns are loud, but it doesn't need to be too loud. You don't want to make your viewer deaf. As long as the gun firing is heard, or I guess loud, then that'd be fine. But everything else when it comes to pulling the charging handle or reloading the gun, that would need to be quieter. Because, well, yeah. And number three, how distinct is it? Don't get me wrong. I love some of the modern games' sound design and some of their weapons. It sounds good. But one complaint I have is that they might sound a bit muddy and could be hard to tell which one's which. Here, I like to make a good difference of how the M16 is going to sound here. I want you to tell that it is a completely different gun from, say, an AK. Although there isn't any more guns in this scene, I still like the M16 to sound unique and different. So, let's go ahead and get on to that. First, let's get his clothing done. Got that? Now for the gun. Lastly, some good ambience. Okay, the video's done now. You can leave. Get out of here. Scram! Scram! Get out!